I go work like a doctor. When I rock the mic, you got to like the way I...
Hello, I'm Granville Emerson, and welcome to LidLine Sports, along with my co-host Renault, Pepe. Bing. What up, Pep?
What's happening?
And oldest Lil O Stevenson. What up, O?
What up, what up?
How you fine gentlemen doing on this Monday evening?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good, huh?
Sun's been out.
It's hard for me to get this banner out of my head, man. Like Venmo. Send some Venmo at Rainier Avenue Radio. It's all in my grill. I can't get away from it. Man, was yesterday an absolutely gorgeous day in Seattle or what? It's about freaking time, Seattle. We get some warm weather. Almost warm enough to go to a Mariners game, as I said last week. It's been an interesting week in sports. There's been a lot going on in college football. And I want to take it off the top, Lil O and Pep, and talk about two things I want you all to help me discuss with our audience. Number one, the firestorm that Nick Saban, Alabama's coach, arguably the greatest college football coach ever, created over the past 4 or 5 days, when he said that Jimbo Fisher out of Texas A&M actually bought their number one recruiting class. And then he singled out one primetime, Deion Sanders, and said that Jackson State paid a player that many believe is Travis Hunter, the number one high school prospect in the country that opted to go to Jackson State. They say, Saban says that he paid Travis Hunter $1 million. Now, I found it very funny. Deion Sanders, we'll talk about that sitch first, because it's my man Prime, and I love what he's doing at Jackson State. I love all the attention he's bringing to HBCUs, and I love the fact that he is doing what he set out to do, and that is to bring prominence to historically Black colleges and universities to the point where kids want to go play there and understand that they can go pro from a historically Black college university. Like Pep, when we grew up, there are all kind of pros from HBCUs, right?
Yes, correct.
Doug Williams, Mel Renfro, all kinds of Hall of Famers from HBCUs. So Coach Prime tweeted on his Twitter handle, you best believe I will address the lie that Coach Saban told tomorrow. I was awakened by my son at Shadur Sanders that sent me the article stating that we paid at Travis Hunter Jr. $1 million to play at Go JSU Tigers FB. We, as a people, don't have to pay our people to play with our people. Was his response. Pep, you have a thought on that, then you, O?
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering what the heck is Nick Saban why does he even put Deion Sanders' name in his mouth? I mean, is he concerned with the fact that Deion is...
Keep my name out your mouth?
Yeah. Is it really a threat now because Deion is now head coach at Jackson State and he's bringing prominence to HBCUs, as you said. So is Nick Saban now worried that that's actually going to happen? And that's why he put him in his mouth? Because that, if Deion's not there, does he bring up another coach? And the answer is, of course, is no. But Deion is that guy that could actually do what he says he wants to do as far as for HBCUs. So I think Nick Saban is concerned about that. And why is he worrying about Jimbo Fisher just because he got the number one class now? I mean, come on, Nick Saban. How many times have you had the number one or number two class Ain't nobody putting your name in their mouth about buying athletes. I mean, what's the deal here?
Oh,
Yeah, no, I'm piggyback a little bit off of Pep a little bit, and the fact that big ol' um, oh man, I just drew a blank here. The fact that Nick Saban is even mentioning Deion Sanders at all at a press conference just shows you uh, what he has done on the HBCU level so far. The fact that he even has Nick Saban's attention. We're talking about a recruiting standpoint. Nick Saban is one of the best recruiters probably in this era of college football. So to see him talk about Deion Sanders, who's gotten one recruit on that type of magnitude, and using
two.
two,
Actually,
okay,
two.
okay, and using the platform that he has, being able to use the NIL, the same platform that Nick Saban gets to use as well. I do agree, and I do agree with Nick Saban with saying that, yeah, you have to adjust. If you see yourself losing recruits, dealing with this new NIL situation, which I'm also trying to get a better grasp on, you have to adjust. I'm pretty sure since being a coach at Alabama, he's had to adjust his recruiting style before, and I know this is now just a a bigger useful tool that has to be used. But for him to say a baseless and just useless comment, even against Jimbo Fisher as well, like, I just thought that was really classless and unprofessional of Nick Saban. I mean, it was good to see him apologize and him to reach out to Deion Sanders and Jimbo Fisher. But yeah, especially with Jimbo Fisher, they have history. I'm not mad at all that Jimbo Fisher didn't want to pick up that call and return to him. You just you tried to sabotage his job. So yeah, I thought it was just really just tasteless from Nick Saban.
Yeah, it was a couple of different things in my estimation that led to it. I felt like number one, Nick Saban was saying what he said because he could, because he's the top college coach. So he felt like he could say whatever he needed to say. He was altogether wrong by name calling, by calling out Jimbo Fisher, by calling out Deion Sanders. And a two-pronged thing now, if you look at it, it seemed flippant at the time, but it seems strategic after I look at it.
Yeah.
Like, number one, he goes after Fisher, who had the top recruiting class. And to answer your question, I understand that the team that's had the top recruiting class the last 5 years have gone to the NCAA championship game and or playoffs. So that's number one. And so it ain't him. So now he's whining because my competitive advantage because of NIL is gone. I heard somebody say, I can't call whose name it was, but I heard it in passing. They said that ain't no kid from LA just want to go to Tuscaloosa to play football on merit, right? So they have probably been paying kids for a long time, especially to get to where they are. And so Deion said at first, you don't want me to get into this because I know who got the bag and who drops off the bag. Right? Because he had a bag dropped off on him. Right? And not only that, he has been a coach on the NFL Armed Forces All-Star game for the last 14 years, which are the top players in the country.
Yep.
So he has relationships with all these kids for the last 14 years of the top players in the country. So he knows them. And so he's like, you really don't want to get me started from that. So he went after Jimbo Fisher first, and then he lumped Deion Sanders in there for what Pep said, because now historically black colleges and universities are getting top recruits to go there. It had been historically that they had kids that were not really top recruits that went to those schools and excelled and made it into the league. And so now they're losing some top recruits to HBCUs. And so now there's a slight trend in that area. And so Saban is worried about that trend. And so Deion said this, and I agree, that he was really talking to his boosters. Because Texas A&M, I was listening to KJR here in Seattle about 3 weeks ago. Can't remember what the lady's name is, but she talked about the group that she had put together to go to Microsoft and Google and Amazon and all these large corporations to put together a pool of money to sign kids to NILs to play for the University of Washington so they can compete with USC and Oregon in the Pac-12. Well, Texas A&M already has that set up.
Yep.
And so, yes, they signed some kids to NIL deals, but it was not their whole recruiting class. It was only 2, right? And they signed Travis Hunter to an NIL deal with Jackson State, but it was less than $250,000. Matter of fact, Travis Hunter tweeted out, and I quote, "I got $1 million, but my mom still stayed in a 3-bedroom house with 5 kids." So how's that? So there are players making money on NIL deals, but the whole thing was magnified by Nick Saban as a message to Alabama boosters that y'all got to hook me up so that we can continue to compete. Okay? And the NIL deal has now leveled the playing field where kids would leave high school to go to Alabama to win national championships. Now kids may want to go to your college for the more lucrative NIL deal. For those of you who don't know, NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. I actually tried to bring up an article that I wrote for the Seattle Times in when was this? I don't know when it was. I think it was May of 2018. It looks like, but I don't know. It won't let me up because it's making me pay for the subscription.
Oh yeah. Seattle Times.
And so I wrote an article back then talking about how the NC2A needed to pay their players in the money-making sports of football and basketball. And they needed to pay them partially from the gate receipts, television receipts, a percentage, and from name, image, and likeness. Regardless of if it was a male sport or female sport. And I had a lot of people saying, well, I'll never go because of Title IX. Well, hell, if it's the University of Connecticut and your women's program is making more money than the men's program, then the women's program should make the money. It should be a percentage of who's making the money for the university.
Correct.
Right? And so now we see that actually played out in soccer, where now the women's soccer team is making the same as the men's soccer team. Although they are outperforming the men's soccer team in terms of marketing. They're more popular.
Yeah.
So it can be done, but the NC2A took no measures to do that. And then a judge ruled that NILs were legal and forced the NC2A's hand to accept it. And so now it's like the wild, wild west. There are no regulations on NILs, right? There's no cap, no nothing. There's no rules, and people are doing what they think they need to do. And so now Nick Saban is trying to complain about it so that somebody can come in and regulate it, and so that he can level the playing field on that, and so that he can get some NIL money from his boosters to pay kids to come play. The way it's supposed to work, I understand, is that you can't directly give kids money to come to your school, but you have to have some type of a deal that utilizes their name, image, and likeness. For instance, they use their name or their picture or whatever for a marketing campaign for a local restaurant, or they have some type of product that they endorse, and they have commercials and all of that. And so they get signed into a contract to do all that. That's supposed to be how it's done. And so, but like I said, there's no regulations right now. It's just wild. It's like.
So are they working with agents? Like, are players working with agents? Okay.
Yes. Which is legal for them to do. So it's like not a sports agent, but an entertainment agent.
Gotcha.
Right? So they can't have a sports agent, but they can have an entertainment agent that gets them marketing deals, right? For name, image, and likeness. And so that's what that is. And so I'll be interested to keep watching to see how fast the NCAA gets involved with trying to regulate NIL. I understand that the conferences will take the first step in trying to do it, which is kind of like the police monitoring the police, right? If you're in a conference, you're not going to be trying to slap one of your teams on the wrist for doing something illegal when you know that you need that team to go to a bowl game, a top bowl game, or to the NCAA playoffs to make money for your conference. And so they need to set up some type of body, external body, to govern all that. And it's just about time that players are able to make money, and we'll see how it goes from there. And then you'll have the case too, Pep, where you're going to have players, and this is another thing that college coaches are worried about, including Saban, right? Because forever, Pep, they have ran college football like a pseudo-slavery institution where it's their word is bond, and if you don't like it, you could take a hike. They could take a scholarship at any time. And now they're going to have players that make more money than they do. So why do I need to listen to you? So it's a confluence of NIL and the transfer portal that is going to have college coaches now trying to figure out how to coach these kids, knowing they just can't lord over them and just take that big whip like I'm the coach, I'm making all the money here, and if you don't like it, you can go someplace else. Now the players are like, okay, I'm going someplace else and I'm making more money. Now what? So it's a new day in big time college football and basketball.
Tie that in also as well. You can transfer after a year. I mean, you can transfer one time without having to lose eligibility. So I think that's going to be part of it. Yeah,
that's a big part of it. That's a big part of it. Look, before you were stuck at a school for 4 to 5 years, and if you did decide to transfer, you'd have to sit out a whole year.
Yep.
And you don't have to do that anymore. So dudes is just willy-nilly going different places. I don't understand why dudes go to places that they go, but they go to different places at different schools. Like, I know dudes that have, I don't know why a dude would come to the University of Washington from another Power 5 school, but they do. As for me, I would go to a smaller school where I'd be a big fish in a small pond.
Exactly.
Especially now with NIL, I could go to a small town, and if I'm a star, reap all that NIL money. I'll be on TV and radio doing all kind of things, making money.
Yeah.
I'll be on real estate signs. All kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I had my name, image, and likeness everywhere making that paper. Staying in college as long as I could.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then if you're not a top draft pick, 1 or 2 round draft pick, first or second round draft pick, you might as well stay in college because you're gonna make more money.
Yep.
You make more money on the NIL deal in a small pond than you would going to the G League.
Yeah.
That low of a draft pick. So it's very interesting times. Very interesting times. A lot going on in the NFL, Pep. Bring us up to date.
Well, actually, this past week was kind of quiet, and of course, as you guys remember, last week I told you that Deshaun Watson was going to meet with NFL officials, determine what they feel that whether they're going to do regarding discipline. So there's been no news yet on that possible suspension of Deshaun Watson. Coincidentally, he took his team to the Bahamas this past week on a team building trip. And of course, as you know, Baker Mayfield, he was invited, believe it or not, but of course he chose not to go, nor will he attend OTAs, organized team activities, this week. As you know, the NFL's OTAs have begun. And for Watson, speculation that he probably will be suspended. There's been some numbers thrown around between 6 and 8 games. It seems to be most popular. I heard this morning Keyshawn Johnson on ESPN with Jay Will, Keyshawn, and Max talk. He said that the Browns would be fine if Deshaun doesn't miss more than 7 games. He says that the Browns could be 10-7 and still win the division in that particular division. But he says that if Deshaun is sentenced to more than 7, which meaning 8 games, let's say, that the Browns might be in some trouble. I thought that was pretty crazy. I mean, can you imagine going 0-7 to start and then end up 10-7? Because man, and winning the division,
Crazy
that would be
things that happen.
Yeah, that would be pretty nutty. But we'll see. What do you guys feel if he gets suspended? How long it'll be, and what the prognosis is for the Browns?
I mean, my question, why I think having a really good defense that they have, I think that they could possibly be around the 500 mark. My question though is, has there been any update with what's going on with Baker Mayfield?
No, there hasn't. And the speculation is that eventually the Browns will probably have to cut him and eat that money. That's the last thing they want to do, of course. But they're not going to be able to trade him because nobody's going to want to trade for the guy, especially with the amount of money that he's due. So they're between a rock and a hard place, and an extremely diamond cutting hard place. So and of course, speculation is
Mayfield is stuck like the side chick waiting for her dude to come back from vacation with his wife.
Yeah. Yep. That's one way to put it.
He's getting no run right now. You got to find out what's happening with the main deal. You got to wait and see how long Deshaun's going to be suspended, first of all, right? And if they're actually going to give him some tick, if Watson is suspended like 6 games, are they going to give him some tick, or are they going to still sideline him? And but as Pep said, they're going to have to eat that $18 million. Nobody is going to trade for him.
No. Why would you?
Other teams are waiting to see what happens. All teams wait, and then if their quarterback goes down during the season, then they'll look for another a backup QB to come in that could start right away. He may get that opportunity somewhere, and maybe not. It just depends on that team, what their record is at that time. Are they in a playoff hunt, and they need somebody to come in and sustain them and keep them in the playoff hunt? Then somebody may work out a deal where Cleveland eats some of the salary and they take on some of Baker Mayfield's salary. But other than that dude is sitting at home waiting on some run.
Yeah.
And they also have Jacoby Brissett. So it looks like if Watson's suspended, they're probably going to have to go with Brissett. Now, what would be funny to me?
That's exactly why I said even if they, decide to, they don't have to because they do have Jacoby Brissett.
Mm-hmm. Now, wouldn't it be funny if Watson is out and Brissett is in, and they're 6-1 when Watson comes back?
Possibly. Brissett's a decent quarterback. He's not a bum. He's a decent quarterback. That could happen. They have a very talented roster. And I'd actually, Pep, on that note, be interesting to see what Brissett could do with that very talented roster. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So, so we'll see. I got some NFL transactions the past week. The Eagles signed cornerback James Bradbury, formerly of the Carolina Panthers, to a reported 1-year, $10 million deal. He's a cornerback. So Philly has upgraded their cornerback. They've upgraded their wide receiver core. And, of course, they got Jalen Hurts at quarterback. So now they gave him some weapons and he's got some help on defense. So right now, the Eagles, in some pundits have said that they are the favorites in the NFC East. We'll see. Also, the Cleveland Browns re-signed Jadeveon Clowney to a 1-year, $11 million deal, and so to go with him, and you got Myles Garrett on the other end. They got bookend pass rushers. So like we said before, they definitely got a talented roster and a formidable defense. Of course, they got Amari Cooper now too on the offense. So Cleveland, and of course they still got Nick Chubb. So they still got some good running backs. So Cleveland, as we mentioned, has some good talent. Now they just need to finalize what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson and see what happens. And speaking of quarterbacks, the Indianapolis Colts signed Nick Foles to a 2-year deal. That deal is undisclosed as far as the terms. Of course, he's expected to back up Matt Ryan, newly acquired from the Atlanta Falcons. And he's also reunited with head coach Frank Reich, who was the OC of the Philadelphia Eagles championship Super Bowl in 2017. So what do you guys think about Nick Foles going to Indianapolis? G, I want to hear. Your face tells me you got something to say.
I just think it's funny that Frank Reich keeps recycling his old quarterbacks. Like last year, he went out and got Carson Wentz thinking that he was the answer. But Nick Foles will be backing up
Matt Ryan.
So that's not a bad pickup, actually.
No, not really.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good pickup because I know, Nick Foles played one game last year. You guys remember what that game was?
No, was it against the Seahawks?
It definitely was. Most certainly. And he played well. So, what's funny to me is I don't know why the Seahawks didn't talk, at least give him a call or something. I don't know.
We got to go to break, Pep, and when we come back, we'll finish NFL Pep Talk and get into the NBA, also known as a blowout every other game. Right after these messages. Don't go away. You're listening and watching LidLine Sports with Otis Lil O Stevenson and Renault Pepe Bean. I'm Granville Emerson. We'll be right back after this.
Rainier Avenue Radio. Wash your hands, don't touch your face, wipe things down, clean up your space. When you cough and sneeze, do responsibly. If you feel you're getting ill, isolate at home and chill. No, you're not alone. Please pick up your phone and call 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Community Radio Station will provide you with more information. Say Rainier Avenue Radio. Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
All lovers, check out the Quiet Storm Dedication Show with Sergio LaCour on Love Lines. Thursdays, 9 p.m. Pacific on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
I love the music.
Yo, what's good? It's D-Money, and you should definitely check out Fresh Juice every Wednesday, 9 to 11 Pacific, right on Rainier Avenue Radio.
With pint-sized Patron, P-Treasy to Don. Y'all be sure to clean your mirrors as we play brand new hip-hop and R&B from locals and worldwide.
It's ID Yourself, a.k.a. Malcolm Flex. Make sure you check out Fresh Juice every Wednesday, Pacific Standard Time from 9 to 11 p.m.
And to get those exclusive interviews that we be doing.
Sipping a brand new Fresh Juice every single week.
Every Wednesday, 9 to 11, Rainier Avenue Radio. Yeah.
My name is Josephine, and I live in Renton, Washington. Even after getting COVID in 2020, I still did not want to have anything to do with the vaccination. There was much fear in the African-American community. Before you do anything, pray. And make sure that you're praying to get the answer and not praying to get your answer. Reconsider, asking yourself why you are hesitant about getting it. To learn more, please visit weconsiderwa.org.
This is Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Hello, I'm Granville Emerson, and welcome back to LidLine Sports, along with my co-hosts Renault, Pepe Bean, and Otis Lil O Stevenson. We were talking about the NFL. I want to shout out Bertram C. Williams, Rhonda Dorsey, and GQ Taylor, and others who are listening and watching. I want to answer Raymond Donaldson's question. He says, so does the school pay the students athletes directly, or is it from a booster or outside donor? It's my understanding, Raymond, that they have outside donors that they direct to the kids, and a school has a NIL fund. So I think it's a little bit of both, to my knowledge. All right, Pep, you were saying?
Oh, yeah. So we were talking about transactions and signings. And so one more to go would be the Seahawks signed wide receiver Marquise Goodwin. If you got, some of you might remember, Marquise Goodwin was with the 49ers for 3 years, and he was supposed to be like an Olympic track star, speedster. And he was with Chicago last year, and he actually played against the Seahawks and caught 2 passes. And so he's 31, and is he still that speedster, G?
I don't know. He won the silver medal in the long jump in the Pan Am Games. I know that. So he's very athletic, quick dude. 31 is not old.
No.
And so I don't know. So he's battling Freddie Swain. So we'll see. He'll probably make the roster because they need depth at receiver.
Yeah.
And
unless one of the rookies
last year for the Chicago Bears as well.
Yep.
So we'll see.
All right. That's it, brother.
Oh, take us to the NBA, the National Basketball Association. It's playoff NBA conference finals time. What's going on? Oh, hey, I want to tell y'all, I want to give Pep a shout out because he did tell us to look for Jimmy Butler, in the Eastern Conference Finals. But yours truly did tell you about one Andrew Wiggins last Monday.
Yeah.
And oh my God, did you see him dunk on Luka?
Yeah.
Who didn't?
Oh my goodness. They try to call a charge, man. Like, are you kidding me?
I think
called it a charge at first.
That little elbow caught him, and when Andrew Wiggins was lining up. Nah, I wouldn't have called it. I mean,
that was weak. That
Luka
dunk was vicious.
He did a good thing selling it too, doing all the acting, holding his.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's what they got. That's what they got. They bought the act.
T on him for flopping.
I do hope that's something that the NBA does look at, like something that the college does with that whole flopping thing. I don't know if they'll be able to govern that in the NBA, but it's annoying as heck.
It really is.
But yeah, the starting off with the Eastern Conference Finals, it has been a tale of two completely different games. Well, actually four completely different games every time we watch, but every game some team has been up by at least 20 points in a game. We're talking about this Miami Heat Boston series, and right now I think Boston is up being near 40 points at home in Game 4. They were up 78-54. So what is that? That's 20 points. They've been up all game. I think Miami only had, I think, 6 or 7 points in the first quarter. It's just been complete inconsistency from both teams. And I think the team who can play two consistent good games will win this series. The series is 2-1. Will probably be tied 2-2 after today. Some spotlights. Victor Oladipo. This is a guy who was out all last season. Kyle Larry played his first game yesterday, so he's been out. And Victor Oladipo has been playing really good minutes for the Miami Heat. I know Pep, that was one of your guys also too to keep an eye on for this series. He's doing it on both sides of the floor. He's playing really well, and he's going to earn himself some money this summer. Probably won't be with Miami unless they can trade Duncan Robinson or something like that, but he's playing really well. Jimmy Butler, we saw him have a good game one, win off. And then we saw Bam Adebayo, who I think is going to be really big in this series, had a really good game 3. And then on the other end, Boston, just a lot of inconsistent play. We saw Jason Tatum go off for 40, then see him have a really tough shooting night the game after that. It's just inconsistent with who's being on the floor. We've seen that Tyler Hero, who I thought was going to be really big with offensive production, he was out today. We saw about 3 bodies go out in Game 3 and then come back in. Marcus Smart was out today. Jason Tatum went out for a little bit last game. So it's just been a really tough physical series that's taken a toll on both of these teams. And right now, I'm going to still stick with Boston in 7, but this series it's been all over the place. What's been your guys' thoughts on this series?
Yep.
Well, let me tell you this. Boston has won most of the quarters in every game, right? So Miami's been dominated most of the series. The only reason why it's 2-2 is because when Miami has won quarters, they have won by a wide margin. They've had 25-point, margin of victory as far as each quarter. So that tells me that even though the series is going to be 2-2, you could look at it as Boston is leading 2-2 if that's kind of a weird thing to say, because Boston has pretty much dominated, as far as each quarter, and right now they're just completely obliterating the Heat. So we know it's going to be 2-2 after tonight. Now for Miami, you can't expect to be dominated like this every game, every quarter, and expect that you're going to have a big quarter and make that comeback or again have another 20-point victory like down in Miami. It's not gonna work. That's not how it works. You're gonna have to be consistent. And in a 7-game series, consistency is key. And I said Boston in 7, and I'm still going to stick with it, even though Game 7 is going to be in Miami. Boston has already shown they can win anywhere. So that's my thought.
Yeah, it's a crazy series for sure. There's just so many injuries. These guys go out with every little thing nowadays, and I have to really attribute it to them not playing hard during the regular season and then trying to play hard and tough during the postseason. And now we see a rash of injuries because guys aren't used to doing that at that level. And so I have no idea who's going to win this series. And I'm like you, O. I think the team that wins back-to-back games wins the series. And so we'll see. Can Boston win tonight and then go down to Miami and win? Can Miami somehow come back and win tonight? Doubtful, but not impossible. Come back tonight and then go back to Miami and win? Doubtful. So we'll see. It'll probably go to a 7th game. The 7th game is in Miami. And so the line will be probably for the Heat. And so we'll see. It'll boil down to me, Jimmy Butler versus Jason Tatum and Brown. Brown, to me, has been uncanny this series with his 3-point shot. Like, he's taking some tough ones and just nothing but net. I was like, wow. And so I thought, too, that Miami did not have enough firepower to stay with Milwaukee, and they needed to keep the score low, but they've been beating them and scoring like 114, and Boston's only had like 80 and 90. Like, what is that? I'm like, that's just weird to me. And so it boils down to Game 7, to me, can they contain Jimmy Butler? And can the duo of Tatum and Brown outdo Jimmy Butler? That's
right.
What it is to me.
Yeah, because I said at the beginning, if Jimmy Butler is the best player on the floor, Miami's probably going to win.
Yeah.
And game one, he was.
And this is antithetical to the Golden State Dallas Mavericks series, because Luka could be the best player on the floor. They could still lose.
Like
last night.
Right.
Yeah. Because Jimmy Butler plays both sides of the ball. That's the big difference.
But I know one thing.
The best player on both sides of the ball.
Yes.
Right.
But I know 6 points is not going to cut it, though, from Jimmy Butler at all. That's what he has today.
He's hurt.
Yeah, and I know this. I know he went out last game, too. It's a slippery slope, too, with, talking about, players being hurt, not playing. I know that's something Adam Silver said that they will definitely address this offseason.
How can they address it?
I don't know. That's why I said it's such a slippery slope. Like, you can't tell a player.
You can't tell a dude to play hurt.
Yeah, you can't.
That comes right here.
Yeah, like, you're right. And it's just weird. Like, in this series, you've seen Marcus Smart leave a game and come back and play, and then, like, see, it's weird. Like, he's hurt enough to not play today. I understand that injuries definitely kick in the next day. Especially, I think he's dealing with like a groin or a hamstring issue. But you're right; it does start with heart, and I'm not questioning any NBA player's heart to want to play, especially to play this high at this stage. But I mean, you're a series away from a championship. I don't know. Like I said, it's just such a slippery slope. And I feel like Miami, at every team, like, they have somebody on their injury report every game.
Regardless. Is Hero out today?
Who?
Hero, isn't he out today?
Yeah, Hero's out today. And they, like I said, you see that they're hurting offensively. They need Tyler Hero in this series. So we'll keep an eye on both teams' health. I think Game 5 will be on Wednesday. They'll be back in Boston. I think I see
Miami.
Boston. Oh, yeah, back in Miami. They're in Boston now. Now that changes everything. I was going to say if it's in Boston, Boston wins. I guess let's see who throws the first punch and who goes up by 21st, and then I guess we'll just go from there.
What cracks me up was when dudes hit the floor and they take 10 minutes to get up and ain't nobody touched them. I'm like, what is this? Get up. Nobody touched you.
Yeah, definitely. It's a different climate in the NBA.
Well, right now it's Boston series to win because, like G says, the first team that wins 2 in a row is probably going to win the series. So it's on Boston now because they're going to win this game, and if they can go down to Miami and win that game, this series is over because they'll come back home and they're not going to lose that.
No. Yeah, 90-60, 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
It's over.
That game was over in the first 5 minutes. When I turned it on, it was 17-1.
Yep. That's exactly how I felt. That game was over as soon as it tipped off. Miami just came out with no energy.
Well, who didn't see this coming, really? To be honest, I knew that. I
thought Boston would win.
I'm not going to say it's to this magnitude, but I knew. Right. I had the feeling that Boston would come back and play, and Tatum would not just score 10 points again. He'd get his 20, 30, 40. Or whatever, and Boston would win, and that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah, well, everybody picked Boston to win today, but I was expecting to turn on TV and be 17-1.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it took them a long time to get off that one.
Yeah, they did. It was like the last 2 minutes until they got past 5.
Yeah.
So on the Western Conference side, that one has been more telling. The Golden State Warriors are
Mavericks about to get swept.
Yeah, they're on the verge of sweeping the Dallas Mavericks. And this series has, honestly, it's kind of gone as expected when it comes to production and players. On Dallas' side, Luka is dominating, shooting well. Jalen Brunson's having a good series. He's averaging 20 points a game. Spencer Dinwiddie's coming off the bench, averaging 15 points a game. But nothing else. That is it.
Problem.
Yeah, and you're not going to beat a Golden State Warriors team with only 3 guys scoring. You saw Reggie Bullock yesterday not make a shot.
You can't do a DJ.
So he wasn't the only one.
No, he wasn't. Max Keebler couldn't make a shot.
He was over 5. All he shot was threes. Clank, 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 clank.
Yeah. So it's like they're pretty much just going around the horn with Luka getting majority of the shots, and then after that, it's pass off to Spencer Dinwiddie.
Ain't no Larry Bird.
No, Larry Bird. No, I don't really like the comparison between the two. I
ain't no Larry Bird.
But like I said,
praise, he ain't no Larry Bird.
He's doing all that he can. If you watching this series, on the other hand, though, Andrew Wiggins is doing a tremendous job, I think, guarding him, making it tough for Luka. But not only that, he is putting up offensive production in this series, averaging 20 points a game. And then they just don't have anybody on the floor who can run around consistently with Steph Curry. I think he's averaging 30 this series. And just how they're playing, they're controlling the tempo. Draymond Green is engineering down low and getting the offense.
Klay Thompson's not even playing that well.
No, he's not. But they do have Jordan Poole, who's playing well. But this series, I think, just took a turn and took the air out of the ball in game 2. We saw Dallas have a great start in game 2. Was up 25 points at a point. And then the second quarter, Golden State made a little bit of a run and got it down to, I think, 14. At that point, Dallas couldn't miss. But that was the point. They just couldn't miss. They had like 70 points at halftime. But then we know Golden State is their signature is that third quarter run, and they went on a crazy third quarter run, holding Dallas to only 12 points, I think, in the third quarter, and ended up taking game 2 by 10 points. And I just thought then, though, that this series was over. Just saying, I thought whatever energy Dallas had to come in this series just was killed. And then you're seeing guys like Kevin Looney played really well, having 20 points, being really big and switching on Luka Doncic. Dallas just doesn't have an answer offensively to match the firepower. And then on top of that, they're putting, like you see here, they're putting Luka in action, which I think the Phoenix Suns went away from. And, they're showing his Achilles heel on the defensive side. I thought Dallas did have a chance, but they had to play dang near perfect basketball. And that's not what's happening. What do you guys see with this series? Is it over? Does Dallas have any type of chance to even maybe get it to 6?
Yeah.
I don't think so. They probably get swept. I think all the air got taken out of them. You said game 2, which I agree with, but yesterday really took all the rest of it. Whatever air they had, it took it all out. They're done. They don't have the firepower. Actually, the matchup is bad for them. Even though they beat the Warriors 3-1 in the regular season, throw that out because a lot of different players, players were not in and hurt and whatnot. But I hate to say this, but I think Phoenix and Golden State would have been a better series, more competitive. I think. I know it sounds crazy to say that because of how they performed against Dallas, but it's all about matchups. And you point that out all the time. When two teams get together, and I think Phoenix and Golden State would have been a better matchup. For a chance to beat Golden State rather. So, yeah, I think this series is done.
Yeah, I think it's done too. My prediction is they play tomorrow night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Luka has 62, and they lose by 3.
Sheesh.
Okay.
So the problem is the Warriors have no fear of the Dallas Mavericks. They're just toying with them. They're just out there toying with them. They're D'ing them up, not letting them do what they want to do. They let Brunson get in the lane. Normally Brunson gets in the lane and finds dudes, but their rotations are so fast because they're all basically guards, right? And so that's their thing. Their rotations are fast, and they can switch everything, right? And so it's hard for Dallas to run anything. And then dudes are getting closed out on them faster than they're accustomed to. And so it's growing pains for the Dallas Mavericks to learn how to play at that level, right, and be productive. That's why you see dudes going 0 for 10 and 0 for 5, and Finney Smith went 3 for 7. And Doncic too, he was 11 for 23. I mean, that's not bad. He was where was he from the 3-point line? 4 for 9. 4 for 9. I mean, he got his money at the free throw line.
Yep.
And they give him a lot of. He's like Durant. Like that wasn't a foul, but they're putting him on the line. So I don't see in no way, form, or fashion them winning this series, even if they win one game. But I think they're going to get swept. I think Golden State wants to sweep them. And here's a crazy thing about Golden State. They are capable of playing much better. Clay can shoot much better, right? Steph can shoot much better. They only shot 34% from the 3-point line last night.
And they turned the ball
over. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they've been doing that all season. You know what? They turned the ball over because they're the word I want to use is cavalier. I mean, they're loose.
No, they are.
That's the way they play, and like Steph threw a no look behind the head pass towards half court to Draymond Green. Like, who does that?
Right.
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? That pass should have been picked off and dunked the other way, but it wasn't. But that's how they play. They take those risks, and that's why they turn the ball over so much. But
they can't do that against Boston.
Is they get a nice volume of shots, and they have so many guys that can shoot. I think it's incredible that Gary Payton is not even playing.
No.
And they're toying with the Mavericks like this. Can you imagine if Payton was playing?
Kuminga. Yeah, and Kuminga either.
Kuminga was the coach's decision, but Payton is out. I mean, I felt like Gary Payton was playing some of the best basketball that I've seen a guard play in a long time.
He definitely was.
In terms of just being a straight team dude. And when he got hurt. And so I just don't see Dallas having the firepower. Now they can come out one game and Deuce can get hot and Bullock can make 5 of those shots that he missed and go 5 for 10. And Kleber, whatever his name is, he can make a shot, make some shots possibly. So they could win another game, but I think they're going to get swept. I just think that's what Golden State wants to do. They're trying to prove a point, and they don't have any answers for all those players. Wiggins, Clay, Steph. Amazing what Steph is doing. And
Jordan Poole.
What's his name? Who's hurt too? From Georgetown, Otto.
Otto Porter.
Otto Porter Jr. They just got so much firepower. But I do want to say this. You know what this squad reminds me of is old traditional championship Warriors teams.
Yep.
Where they had the big three of Clay and Draymond and Steph, but they always had that fourth player, whether it be Durant or Andre Iguodala, that would step up and score big points, that would give them a big four. And so that's what they have now. We're almost out of time. You got any final thoughts? Oh, we got 1 minute left.
Just Orlando Magic won the NBA lottery last week. Just want to put that out. So they will get the number 1 pick. That's followed by OKC, Houston, Sac, and Detroit to round out that top 5. So, yeah. Okay.
Hey, before we go, a bit of trivia for you. I found this to be very, very interesting. There were 5 guys picked before Stephen Curry. Can you guys name any of the 5?
In the draft?
In the draft. The number 1 pick
Tariq Evans is one.
Tariq Evans is one.
Oh man, who is in that draft?
Because Curry was 7.
Who was the number 1 pick?
Tariq Evans was the number 1 pick.
He played for Brooklyn this year. Long time for the Clippers.
Blake Griffin.
Blake Griffin.
Oh, Hasheem Thabeet was in that draft.
Hasheem Thabeet was the number 2 pick. Who knows where Hasheem Thabeet is playing now?
I have
Taiwan, baby.
Okay.
So Memphis had 2 players in the first 5 out of the University of Memphis. That's crazy. We got to go. We're out of time. The other player was Ricky Rubio. All right, very good, Pep. We'll see you next week. Thank you all for watching LidLine Sports. I'm Granville Emerson along with Renault, Pepe Bean, and Lil O Stevenson. We'll holler. See you next week. Deuces.
I go to work like a doctor when I